Hi, this is Mrs. May. We are going to do a quick lesson on how to add integers today. Adding integers with the same sign is really quite easy because if you look at problem A, we've got a -3 plus a -2. We are going to add them as if they have the absolute value of 3 and 2. Then we're going to give that answer the same sign as the integers. So -3 plus -2, we're adding 3 plus 2, which we know is is 5. And then we just give it the sign, that negative sign. So our answer for -3 plus -2 is -5. So again, we're just adding them as if it was their absolute value, 3 plus 2, and then give it the same sign as they both have. Letter B, we've got 1 plus 5, absolute value, 1 plus 5, and we know that that is a positive 6. And letter C, again, we've got two negative signs, so we just simply add those two values together. We've got -5 plus -4 would be -9. What happens though when we have signs that are not the same? As you look at this problem, we've got a +5 and a -2. So there's one way, if you think of it as if you were on a number line with a starting position of 5, and we are going to add a -2 to that. When we're adding a negative, that means we're going to be moving 2 places to the left. So 5 plus -2 is actually 3. And so as you look at the drawing here, that is just one way to think about that. If you start at +5 and then think of -2 as actually subtracting 2, 5 minus 2 is 3. So just a couple of different ways to think about looking at that. Another way that I used to do with students is I would give you some little chips, and if I gave you 5 positive chips and 2 negative chips, and if you match those up, which is what this is showing you here on the right-hand side, if you were to match those up and say those zero each other out, what you are left with after you do those, you remove those pairs or those zero pairs, is what you would have for your answer. So 5 plus -2, which we already did on the other side, is a +3. Adding integers with different signs, here's some more notes for you to take down. We actually subtract the absolute values, so we're actually doing a subtraction problem. Here, you can think of this as, okay, if I start at -20 on a number line, and I add 4 to that, if you think of your number line, you would be moving 4 places to the right. Oops, sorry about that. We would end up at a -16 if we were on a number line and added -20 plus 4, you would end up at -16. If we were doing those with counters, if you visualize having 20 negative counters and 4 positive counters, and you match up the positives and the negatives, you would have 16 negatives left over. Looking at letter K example here, we've got 17 positives, or 17, plus a -6. That is a subtraction problem if you think of it in absolute value terms. If you have 17 positives and 6 negatives, you're actually doing a subtraction of those two, and you would have 11 positives left over. If this was on a number line, you would start at 17, and because you're adding a negative number, you would be moving 6 places to the left, and so you would end up at 11 if you were on a number line. Letter L, we've got 8 negatives, 27 positives. If you're on a number line and you're at -8 and you move 27 places to the right, you would end up at 19. But again, if you think of this in terms of subtraction, 27 minus 8 is 19. And if you think of it with all of those little positive chips and negative chips, if you had 8 negative chips and 27 positive chips, when you matched up those zero pairs, you would have 19 positive chips left over. So just a couple of different ways to think about that and how you're going to solve those. So here's an example problem. What happens when you have more than just two numbers? So we'll take this in steps. We've got A negative 4 plus a negative 12, those have the same signs. And if you think back to that original slide, when you have the same sign, you just simply add them up. You've got 4 plus 12. 4 plus 12 is 16. Bring that sign with you. So a negative 4 plus negative 12 is negative 16. Bring down the remaining part of that problem. Negative 16 plus 4. Oops, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So negative 16 plus 4, we end up with having, okay, it's not wanting me to write on here. We have 4 positives and 16 negatives. If you think of it in counter terms, you would have 16 negative counters, 4 positive counters. Again, looking at the absolute values and doing the zero pairing of those, you have a negative 12. So negative 16, if you're in a number line, you add 4, you would be moving to the right 4 places, and that is going to land you at that negative 12. I have some practice problems for you to try. We're going to go over these the next time we're in class that we were talking about adding integers.